One of the massive keys to preventing reactivity, anxiety, or aggression in social settings with your Canine Corso is knowing the signs of overstimulation. We took the dogs to Ozfest in a very chaotic environment. That way we can socialize them and just make sure they're sharp and well behaved in situations like this, because socialization is a skill. And if you stop bringing your dogs in an environment like this, they're going to start to lose that skill and they could start to become reactive. So we're going to go over things to look for to know when your dog's overstimulated before they suffer a meltdown in public.
I just want to mention too, you may not have a local festival you plan on bringing your dogs to, but these are things to look for as we're coming into summertime and you want to bring your dogs to places. Maybe you want to bring them to a barbecue, you're going boating, whatever your social outing may be. These are things to think about to be proactive and have your pet's best interest in mind.
That's right. It's not just everybody around you's safety, but it's your pet's safety as well.
And I feel like it's one of those things, like the mom very quickly was like, you can't just do that to other people's dogs. But of course with Bruce, he was fine with that. But like the little kid just kind of like walked in front of him and then gave him a huge stroke. And it's one of those things with socialization. We got Bruce used to, and Justice, Bruce, yeah, over here. Just like random people touching them, you know, especially a kid at that level. They're like face level with the dog, so it could be really a really vulnerable situation for both of them.
Yeah.
But I think it just speaks to Bruce's comfort, his leadership, that he's not fazed for a little kid to come by and pet him today, and I made it a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are they friendly?
Yeah.
You're not going to bite me, are you?
Yeah. How are we doing?
Hi. Hi, Justin.
Oh, this is exciting. No, people come just to see you. Everybody here to see
He's
you.
like, wait,
Hi. Yes, I know, Mr. Jello.
Parents don't teach their kids, and parents don't even realize either, like, don't let your kid, I don't care what dog it is, just approach a dog like especially a big dog. They're at face level, so they just feel so comfortable just getting in the dog's face. And they're missing like 1,000 warning signs.
I do think some people love it when their dog gets super tired by these social settings, and I understand that, but it's really important to be keen on knowing your dog's particular signs and symptoms in these situations so that you can catch something before it happens.
Environments like this are too overstimulating for me.
Yeah.
So imagine dogs that are just getting so much attention. And if you have a Canine Corso, your dog's probably garnering a lot of attention.
I felt like we could have had our own booth at this festival because everyone was just drawn to us and surrounding us. So it was exceptionally important. Even though Bruce is 8 and Justice is 3.5, we still have to be keen on what symptoms they may be displaying to let us know, like, hey, I'm getting really tired and I'm starting to lose interest in this situation.
Now, I also need to mention that it's very hot out this day. So one sign that you may see is your dog's excessively panting when they're overstimulated and they've had enough. Now, their panting is due to the heat here, not because they had too much. So I just had to preference that. But one thing to look for is excessive panting. Another thing to look for is that whale eye, that huge eye, the dilated pupils, the wide eyes.
Another big one that Jason's really good at catching is taking a look at their tail. That's a great sign to know. Like, is their tail being held high and stiff, or is it tucked down and really twitchy? That tail can give you a lot of good information.
And not just their tail stiffness, like their whole body. Their body, you can just tell it just stiffens up.
Their facial expressions too, like you mentioned with the eyes, but just I've noticed with both of our boys, their faces look different. Their mouths look different.
Like when they're happy, because their head is so big, you can tell they almost look like they're smiling, and that they're happy in that moment.
Yeah.
Another thing to look for is the ears. How are their ears standing?
Every dog is different, so maybe your dog barks a lot. Our guys don't really bark a ton unless they're guarding the house. So out in these environments, something I'm gonna look for is just a sudden bark. Did they all of a sudden start barking, whining, or growling? Obviously, that's something that is telling me they're being more on guard and maybe a little unhappy in that situation.
And just want to get home.
And want to get out of there.
Another one is, are they just basically not listening to you? Do you tell them to sit and they don't sit when they normally do? That's probably another sign that they're just overstimulated. You should probably remove them from the environment.
That's a huge one for me, Jason, because both Justice and Bruce are such good listeners, such prompt listeners that in an environment like this, if I tell the dog to sit and it doesn't listen to me, for me, that's when I'm like, it's time to exit. Because if they're not going to listen to me, this puts us all in a situation that could go bad.
Is your dog lip licking a lot? Are they yawning constantly? That's another sign that they just had too much. You should probably remove them from the environment. Now, we've done so much socialization with these guys. I roughhouse with these guys, and I've said it so many times. There's a clip up here where a little kid starts hitting Bruce. And I know a lot of you OGs that have watched me. When I roughhouse with Bruce and Justice, I like literally slap him around with soft hands. And I literally say I do this because you never know when a little kid's going to come up and just hit your dog. So you don't want that shock factor in your dog. All of a sudden, they're just going to instinctively turn and snap at someone because they just got, punched by a little kid, for example. Little kids don't know better. It's up to the parents to really teach them how to behave around a dog, to respect a dog, and that they're just not some teddy bear. They're like living, breathing creatures. So a tip is when you're roughhousing with your dog, slap them around a little bit. Like use soft hands. Obviously don't close your fist and punch them, but slap them around a little bit so they're just used to those bumps and those little hits.
And that's good to do. Bruce being 8, like to still do that with him now, obviously in a gentle way, but just to have an understanding of how he'll react. It's one of those things you can't always predict if a little kid's gonna come up and start slapping your dog around. So it's good to make sure that your dogs can be tolerant of those types of things if you're gonna put them in a situation like we did here.
So we're going through so much chaos. It took us like 30 minutes probably just to get down the street into Ozfest. We got stopped so many times. So the dogs are getting extremely hot. You would just touch them, and because they're black, they just absorb that sun. So we just brought them in the shade just to cool off a little bit.
That's one of the things that Jason just pointed out that you can do, though, if you do start to notice these signs when you're in a social situation. One of the first things you can do is create some space and move away from the stimulus. So you'll notice we were in that like carnival situation with everyone crowding us, surrounding us. And when we were actually actively walking away from that situation to get them into the shade, we had someone else approach with their kids. Hey, can I pet your dog? And so I told them, yes, you can, but we do need to get into the shade right now. And I did that to not be mean to the kid, but I have to put my dogs first in that scenario. So I said, hey, if you want to follow us over to the shade, cool, but we got to get these dogs into a calmer environment.
If you're in the middle of this giant crowd and all of a sudden your dog's like just instantly, I had enough. So you obviously have to exit the space, right? And you have to go through a massive crowd to exit the space. One thing you can do is obviously create space and leave the environment, but you got to get out of the environment. So you can redirect your dog with just calm verbal cues, some soft pets, some like loving touch, things that make them feel comfortable. Just to help keep them calm until you get out of the situation.
The other thing I think is important to consider too, which Jason and I always do just because of Jason's own health, honestly, but this really relates back to your dogs, is have an exit plan. Just because you want to stay at the festival all day or the barbecue or whatever it is you may be doing, if your dog is having a day where he is displaying or he or she is displaying those signs, have your exit plan ready that you are going to go. You are going to get the dog, and this is what your plan's going to be to leave. So just have that mapped out in your mind ahead of time so you're not putting yourself and your dog in a situation where they have to stay somewhere 8 hours that is clearly going to be too much for them.
Absolutely. And like Kara said earlier, it's okay to tell people no. Like, just because you have a dog doesn't mean that everybody has the right to pet your dog. If somebody's giving off weird energy you don't like, where you like question if your dog's gonna like them, just politely tell them, no, not right now, I'm sorry. But it's your dog and you have to protect your dog at all times. Even though you have a guardian breed, the number one job is for you to be your dog's guardian, not vice versa. And everybody always gets that mixed up with guardian breeds.
I agree. And always keep that in mind too, because I hate having to tell people no, but I have done it so many times, especially when I'm alone with the dogs. If I'm sensing overstimulation and I feel like too many people are approaching me and I can't keep eyes on everything, it's a no, and it's not to be mean. So if you're on the other side of things where you see a Corso that you want to pet or an owner tells you no, understand that it could just be simply not because they're mean, but because they're looking out for your best interest and their pet's best interest. And just to give some prevention tips, just to be more proactive with this, number one is just learning your dog's threshold with all of this. Not every dog loves every person, every other dog, every kid. So start to understand when you are socializing your pets, what they're comfortable with and what their threshold is. They're not all going to be social butterflies like Joey Justice, where they want to meet every single person.
Yes.
And actually, for a period, Bruce wasn't a social butterfly anymore, but Justice kind of brought that back out in Bruce, where they both do love meeting people. And Jason and I know this about the dogs, which is why we brought them to such a highly interactive social festival. This may not be your dog. Don't watch this video and think, well, I have to get my dog to this level to bring him to a huge festival. No, not every dog's going to like everyone, just like Jason says, as people, we don't like everyone.
And it's completely fine if your dog doesn't like other dogs.
Yeah.
But, is your dog tolerant of other dogs? Is your dog tolerant of people? That's the thing. It's not making them like something, because you can't force something to like something else. It's just getting them to a level that they will tolerate it. If somebody wants to pet your dog and you want to allow them to pet your dog, it's your right to tell them how to approach the dog, how to pet the dog, what to do, what not to do. If they're doing something that you don't like, let them know.
Jason has a couple full videos showing how to newly introduce your dog to a person. So those are good videos to watch to start out if you're uncertain how to even do that. And this one may be common sense, but just practicing decompression time after you do socialize them.
Yes.
After an event like this, Jason and I knew the dogs were going to be toast the rest of the day. Regardless if they acted like they wanted to go play, we knew they needed to decompress after such a high socialization time. We made sure to get them home, allow them to rest. We didn't then force them to go do a bunch of other things. So keep that in mind too, having that decompression built in.
Overall, I was super pumped with how awesome the dogs were. We left on a good note. We left before they got too tired. We left literally because of me.
Yeah. But I think it was a good time, because I think Justice was even displaying a little less interest in people approaching.
He's over it.
Yeah, he wasn't wiggling as much. He wasn't standing up as quickly. So I think it was just like, it was a good time to take off.
And this was one of the most chaotic environments we could get the dogs around. There's insane chaos. There's complete chaos. There's games going off with bells and whistles. There's kids screaming. There's people laughing. There's crowds of people just surrounding the dogs.
A lot of costumes.
A lot of costumes. Like Justice was looking at the Wizard of Oz people like, what is going on here? Like, what is that thing? Highly stimulating. It was a good test for the dogs. It was a good way to make sure they're staying on point.
It was definitely an environment for more advanced leaders like ourselves and dogs that are highly well trained, in my opinion.
Yes, if you have a Canine Corso and you're just starting to socialize them, and if you don't feel completely comfortable yourself in complete chaos with your dog, don't bring your dog to an environment like this. I totally understand you want to get your dog socialized and you want your dog to be Bruce Wayne and Joey Justice. I get it. It took years for Bruce Wayne to become Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
It took years for Joey Justice to become Joey Justice. Things happen slowly. Don't overdo it in your dog. There's a lot of pet-friendly stores out there. There's a lot of craft stores that are pet-friendly, a lot of coffee shops, Lowe's, Home Depot. Start there, make sure you get a lot of wins under your belt, and then start increasing the chaos. It's not listed online yet, but I have the Ultimate Canine Corso Blueprint, Raising a Well-Balanced Canine Corso. It teaches you everything from A to Z that you need to know in raising that perfect, well-balanced Canine Corso. And I know I have a raw feeding course, but I have a new ebook, the Ultimate Raw Feeding Guide, which goes even beyond the raw feeding course I have. It goes over the prey model, the barf model, TCM. I give you 50 raw recipes, and the only way to get them right now is to email me at flood@jlc@gmail.com, and I'm selling them at a discounted price until I get them online. Once I get them online, the discount is over. They are $50 each, or you can buy them both as a bundle for $80. And with any purchase, you also get my 110 Holistic Dog Remedy Guide. Until next time, Bruce Wayne, Joey Justice, Kara Corey, thanks for helping me with this video, Kara.
You're welcome.
And myself, I'll see you later. Peace.